Hi everyone, I just wanted to make this very short video and show validity and brilliance of astrology using Julian Assange case, and also show his chart and the timing of what happened. He was freed, of course, and a lot of people didn't see this coming, but the brilliance of this is that the timing of it. I mean, this could have happened 2 months ago, 2 years ago, I don't know, 1 year ago, 1 month ago, but why now? And as usual, we can show that the timing of the big event, the big headline that has happened, that does happen, almost always, without exception, matches some major astrological transit or major astrological alignment. And this is, frankly, the reason, as a scientist, I was just really I lost sleep over this, because I kept seeing this time after time. And, as someone who actually is used to data analysis and seeing trends and plots and doing puts, putting things in plots and graphs and all that, and analyzing things that, right in front of me using numbers and facts and figures, I started really becoming humble, to be honest, and realized as a scientist that I don't even know what I don't know. And it's sad. My fellow scientists don't know what they don't know. That's the reality when it comes to anything New Age, frankly, metaphysics, paranormal, stuff like that, ancient. Unfortunately, we don't. And the last thing we are, I would say a lot of my colleagues are, is actually doctor of philosophy, because I don't think we know philosophy. I don't think scientists are actually taught philosophy at all. I don't think they know what the meaning of the word is, to be perfectly honest. Anyhow, so you look at the transits. So the very first thing I'm going to start is Jupiter changing sign. And when it comes to scientific analysis of anything you want to do, when it comes to astrology, I always like to go for the slow planetary transits, because the slow transits actually give us a lot of clues, and it can't be dismissed and discounted as coincidental or essentially confirmation bias, or such rubbish labels a lot of scientists like to give astrology. The few that actually say, well, maybe it does work, but it is not anything but coincidence. And I want to show here that it is definitely not coincidence. It is definitely not at all an accident. It has merit, and it is statistically significant. So looking at the ephemeris for, let's say, right now, which is really what, when this happened, we can see that Jupiter changed sign literally few days, last few days of May of 2024, and within days he was freed. So what sign Jupiter entered? Sign of journalism, which is really what Gemini is. I mean, if you have taken a course in astrology for one day, or if you look at any ancient text, and if you think I'm kidding, if you don't know astrology, you can check this. Mercury, Gemini, this is a sign to do with the archetype, to do with journalism, writing, media, communication. So we have Jupiter, luck, which is really commands for luck. It correlates with luck and ease of pain, ease of restriction. Enters the sign of journalism, and we have ease of restriction, or essentially ease of pain of some journalists in the world. And he indeed is the journalist of our time, journalist of our century, of our, poster child of, let's say, a journalist. And we have this person all over headlines getting lucky, getting essentially the blessing of Jupiter. That's really what we can decipher it to be. And of course, this is not the only thing a scientist would rely on. We need many more, factors and variables. We have to check all sorts of things if we want to make a correlation and make a case here. So this is not the only one I ever look at. I always look at a whole bunch. So I'm like, okay, how about the chart of Julian Assange? Oh, he's the one. He's not just a journalist, he's a person. Do we see anything in Gemini that somehow can be translated as getting blessing of this Jupiter? And yeah, voila, look at that. In his chart, you can see that he actually has Saturn, literally, Lord of karma, time and restriction and delays, Lord of issues and troubles, especially karmic troubles and real delays and restrictions of life, real issues of life, wherever we have Saturn, that's really the area. And he has it in Gemini to do with, again, journalism. And as if that's not bad enough, he actually has Saturn in literally on the C point, on the cusp of his seventh house of courts, judges. Seventh house of formal contracts, of marriage, of any sort of marriage in his life gets the wrath of Saturn, unfortunately. And is essentially people who have Saturn in the seventh house. We always say, if you can become a lawyer or a judge, go ahead and do it, because you're not going to win any lawsuit if you have Saturn in the seventh house, especially at the beginning of your life. Like the first 30 years, forget about it. And even with any formal contract, there are always going to be major issues. So, yeah, getting lawsuits, when you have Saturn in the seventh house or even transiting seventh house, just don't bother. You're going to lose the case. The judges are not going to like you. They're going to be difficult. They're going to be grumpy. They're going to be just difficult and restrictive. They're going to not give you any discounts at all. In fact, they're going to go for the toughest decisions when it comes to you when you have Saturn in the seventh house. And unfortunately, that's we all know what happened to him. So what happens? Jupiter right now in the sky is fused with Saturn in his natal chart. So if we literally imagine this natal chart, this QR code active in the sky, and the sky being this quantum computation, it's like quantum computer. Imagine his quantum computer aligned with the cosmic computer, the cosmic quantum computer, the matrix, the mother data, whatever you want to call it. We see that there is this alignment, this mathematical alignment. And of course, people who don't know astrology don't know anything, but this really matters to astrologers. We always go by mathematical alignments, by the patterns, by the geometry. The mathematical alignments is key for what we basically say when we say something, because we have over 5,000 years of peer-reviewed data and observations of what happens when this alignment is formed, what happens when that alignment is formed. It's very much reproducible science. I can teach this to a 10-year-old, and a 10-year-old should be getting the same exact interpretation that I'm getting, pretty much the gist of it at least. So what happens is that here we have Jupiter right now in the sky, on the same exact degree that Saturn was when Julian Assange was born. If you think this is coincidence, and we know that Jupiter orbit is 12 years, we're not talking about moon here, 12 years, 2 years ago, 2 months ago, 3 years ago, 5 years ago, Jupiter was never here, okay? But right now it is, and within days of this happening, of this essentially changing sign, we get the man freed. So it's very significant. And if you're a scientist and you don't see the significance of this, you really are a fool. I'm sorry. And you're also a dishonest fool. Anyhow, there are other ones. I'm just going to talk about Pluto. Pluto entered Aquarius. It is in his third, but Aquarius is on the cusp of his fourth house, which is home and family. He has his node destiny point with Mars right there. Mars is law enforcement, of course, and aggression, aggressive, all just issues and trouble, especially coming from our own our own stubbornness, our own hard-headedness and all that, which he definitely showed a lot of that sort of thing in his trial and in his life, especially when the government and the courts came after him. So his destiny point is right there too. Destiny point is really the mission, the reason for reincarnation. And Pluto is causing what? Death and rebirth, death of home and rebirth of a new home. And what happened to him? He has really a death of home and birth of a new home. That's literally what Pluto caused, or we could say Pluto is correlating with this. Every time we have Pluto correlating with hitting the fourth house, I don't care who you are, even Neil deGrasse Tyson, if he goes back to any time he lost his home, changed his home, had something major happen to his place of residence, place that he calls home or homeland, or even his mother's home or his mother's life even, something to do with maternal roots. Anytime we have a very transformative, psychologically transformative event that is very much death and rebirth like, going to Hades and back kind of a thing, just like what he's experiencing right now, coming to, it wasn't an easy coming to home, was it? Not an easy flight home. It wasn't some direct flight home. This was a death and rebirth flight home. It really was a death and rebirth flight home. He rode the back of Hades, literally, and wasn't probably even sure if he's going to get here and get to see his family and home town. And, this experience happened, and Pluto changed sign last year. This happens once every 250 years. Okay? The timing of this is unbelievable. In fact, a lot of astrologers did say that there's a very good chance Julian Assange will be freed when with Pluto changes sign, because Pluto will hit his destiny point. And when Pluto changes sign, all the planets we have in that sign, they start seeing the themes. They go through the changes. You start seeing a preview of what you're about to get in the next 20 years when Pluto changes signs. I've already seen, the preview of what Pluto is going to give me when it comes to my Venus in Aquarius, and it's not even in the first decan. So this is very, very crucial. I'm not going to talk about the other planetary alignments that are a whole bunch here. Otherwise, this will be very long, but I just wanted to mention this. And please go ahead and look at the symbols. The symbolism is incredible. Elsie Wheeler actually remotely viewed these symbols for every degree of the zodiac. The whole thing behind it was a scientific experiment. It was a double-blind scientific experiment when she divined and remotely viewed these symbols for every degree of the zodiac, 360 of them. I've written about how it was done, the case, in my Medium article. Go to our website, go to the Medium link, and read our articles. I think this one is free and you can read it. And it is mind-blowing. It is very informative. And there are lots of other articles that we've written using Sabian symbols in order to actually make a case that we live in a simulated universe. And if you haven't seen your own Sabian symbols, I don't know what keeping you from doing that. It's only like $10 and you can actually get a PDF immediately. And you see that your placements, we use, let's say, because the placement of planets, main planets, we know has higher weight statistically. So we're using most of the main planets, and we're also adding some of the main points, which are very much heavily weighted in statistical analysis of astrology. And we also throw in there, I think, Chiron and Lilith. So we actually use 16 points, and we create collection of these images based on your unique horoscope, based on your essentially cosmic signature, cosmic map. It's your custom map of the cosmos, and it is very much what we believe is corresponding to and correlating with your QR code, with your manual, your script manual of essentially your birth, the program you're running in this simulation. That's really what it is. That's what a birth chart is. And you can see that a lot of these images actually correlate with your life. They somehow tell a story about you. And if you look at all the 500 plus celebrities and other people, famous people that we have already, we are showing in our website in the examples area, you can see that a lot of the a lot of the celebrities, you actually look at them and you see, you see over 50% match, over 50% relevance to the life of the person. I mean, really spooky stuff sometimes even. And we even do a statistical analysis in our Oppenheimer paper about this. You can look at the actual statistical analysis there. We use a formula to show how rare, how impossible, how science-defying, how non-coincidental these alignments are and these images are, how specific these images are, and how it is statistically significant and merits, it warrants further study. It has merit, scientific merit, to really get funding and go for further study, especially for those who want to really find some evidence for life being a simulation, a computer simulation, and using different languages and symbolism and methods, we can actually access the codes and decipher the codes. And and you can actually see, for example, for his sun sign, for his destiny, for various different, various different archetypes that define, let's say, Julian Assange. You can actually see symbols that, in my opinion, really match his life. Sun sign being, he made a caricature, essentially. He made a caricature really out of these world governments by really revealing secrets. And when it comes to, for example, the Mercury being really the planet for writers and journalists, leader of men who actually resisted something, more like Nelson Mandela, without real war, but resisted something and became leader of men. You can actually see this, and you go and look at his destiny point, and you see that it is about a man who goes for hunting precious gold, and has his loyal dog. I mean, that's really what Julian Assange, in a way, his life became, because he had very few loyal people around him, loyal dogs around him, and he went and uncovered some precious gold, and he essentially ended up pretty much in some cottage with his loyal dog. That was like, this is the destiny point of the man, and we will always remember him as that, in a way, even if he lives another 50 years. This, that chapter was the hallmark and the peak of, you could say, the embodiment of his destiny. And ascendant, two men playing chess. I mean, he was always playing chess with these governments. He literally was playing chess with the US government, UK government the whole time. I mean, it was always like this game of chess that he was playing from various embassies with these governments and with the adversaries. And the last one is, of course, my favorite, King of the Little People coming home. I mean, those of you who know anything about Australia is always seen as this sort of little brother, as this little people, middle of nowhere. No one talks about Australia in Northern Hemisphere. The media never covers Australia. I mean, Australia is always crocodile, koala, and I don't know, crocodile Dundee, and pretty much, I don't know, Steve Irwin. No one talks about Australia regarding anything. In fact, headlines of the world never has Australia in them. Even when events happen that are quite important, generally speaking, Australia is not covered in the global headlines, and in a way seen as this place that pretty much people go to hide. People are sent to never be seen, and in a way, he's the king of the little people, as far as, I guess, the world is concerned, and he's returning home and celebrated as that, I guess you could say. And Australia has always been used by the Allies to do the dirty bidding, or the dirty work of the Allies, because Australia, in a way, also needs the military of America and UK and all that. So, it's in a way seen like that. Australia and New Zealand always kind of seen as the little brother that kind of has to say yes to all sorts of requests, even the ones that really don't serve it. Anyhow, I hope this was helpful. And I just showed at least 3 or 4 very, very statistically significant alignments that explains that nothing's random. We live in a computer simulation, at least according to these. And I'm looking at least 4 or 5 cases. Anytime I look at a headline and I cast a chart, I freeze sometimes, because it's just so obvious that these are all very relevant. These are very, very statistically significant stuff. And it really pains me that my fellow scientists just think of these things as joke, and they think it's cute that, we should mock them. And they don't think that it really has any importance at all. And it has nothing to offer the world of science if we actually fund and study these things. And this resistance to fund and study and take these things seriously in any way, shape, or form, and give it fair platform since 1660s for over 400 years, thanks to religion, of course, and also science, especially left-brain scientism, has really done nothing to serve humanity, serve science, or even help us in scientific ways, in advancement of science, in progress of science, because there is so much that we could have answered if we actually did research these things. I personally have data regarding reincarnation, regarding all sorts of topics to do with what are we, who are we, where are we going, what are we, why are we here, all sorts of other explanations and you could say answers to scientific mysteries such as near-death experiences, reincarnation, and prophetic stuff, prophetic dreams, lucid dreaming, and all sorts of other stuff. I can go on and on, honestly, and show linkage and show real data that explains a lot of these things and gives us very satisfying answers, and can even help us understand and reconcile, to physics, Newtonian and quantum. It explains a lot about why quantum physics is the way it is, why Newtonian is the way it is. But because we are resistant to studying such things, anything right brain, anything ancient and traditional, and we think it's all stupid stuff and mumbo jumbo, despite the fact that every scholar of science, every respectable mathematician and astronomer actually first and foremost was an astrologer. And, thanks to a lot of these, questions, these topics, we actually even advanced science and mathematics and all that. There is no humility there. There is no humility. There is a lot of ego and arrogance, unfortunately, and ignorance that has caused this level of, I would say, this level of ignorance, really, because modern science and my fellow scientists who have PhD and they don't even know what philosophy is. I mean, they are supposedly doctor of philosophy. I don't even know how. I mean, there's nothing more ridiculous than this, because they don't even know what philosophy is. They don't teach us philosophy anymore at all. And I don't think my fellow scientists, and I do know, actually, I do know, they don't know what they don't know. They don't even know what they don't know. And the critics of astrology don't even know what they don't know. They don't know the topic. They make fool out of themselves, opening their mouth, talking about definitions of astrology that are certainly misinformation. They don't even match the rubbish that is in Wikipedia. They don't even read the Wikipedia explanations that are probably less ridiculous than the stuff they say. And even that is misinformation and propaganda. But anyhow, let's not get into that. This can of worms. Anytime I get into this, my blood boils. Hopefully this was very clear. Please ask your questions. I'm religiously into answering people when they are not trolls and ask good questions. If you ask good question, I will answer. That's a promise. I don't make jokes about this sort of stuff. I don't take things lightly. I'm very big on dialogue. I'm big on, give and take, brainstorming, sharing ideas, exchanging ideas, educating, getting educated. That's me. That's very much me. Thank you.